just joining me, please stay. Tell me what you guys think. And I'll go ahead and read some of the article. I'm not in DC, by the way. That was canceled, so if anybody asks. But let me go ahead and read. A system of total control and subservience. Slavery has always been the most profitable commodity until its abolition in the mid-1800s. But with the rise of new technology, a new system of total subservience has never been possible until now. This is a global system that is dominated by a small minority of people. I'll call him Mr. Global. Mr. Global assures his dominance through a new form of currency known as the digital dollar that is able to be turned on or off by a central source. This system is already implemented in China. Whereas before you had relative ignorance of the person aside from you, meaning you were able to collectively bargain for what you wanted, this system is a system that is totally transparent and controlled by a central source, giving rise to extreme power imbalances. I think of the Hunger Games, but that's me. This system gives a single person the ability to control a population's behavior through tracking. This new system gives a central planner the power to turn a person's finances on or off if the central source disagrees with a person's politics or belief system. This also gives a central planner the ability to control a population's behavior and movement through GPS tracking. This is what the military is currently implementing. And so Elon Musk, who is putting all these satellites in space, that is part of what's happening. That's why the industrialists keep shooting satellites into the sky, and so this is what's currently happening. The control and tracking of a single person's movements assures that a population will not rebel or act in a way that is considered indecent or indicative. The single person is left powerless and assures that a single person will behave. The single person is left isolated and his grievances are not listened to. Systems such as AI and the social credit system will be implemented in the coming decade. You will not be able to buy or sell without strict permission by the government. So that's key. So if you guys look at everything that's going on, the richest people in the world right now are the people who control information systems, are people who control the digital hub, and they're the owners of the robots, basically. And this, they are the richest people in the world. And if you look at all the events that are going on, what they're doing by shutting down individual businesses they are centralizing their power, meaning they are assuring that their dominance and um, power are continued. And that is why they're shutting down all these individual businesses. Okay? This essentially is a system of everyone's controlling everyone's behavior, and they're doing that through GPS tracking. And so what I wish to accomplish with this podcast is I just want to educate people about the system that's being implemented. Okay, so everybody knows. Okay, the people implementing this system knew that the majority of people would never go along with the system. So what they needed was a healthcare crisis. And this pandemic gives them the ability, gives them the excuse to implement this system. But this system is in the works and has been in the works for a long time. If you look at the wealthiest people in the wealthiest industries, whether it be information systems, pharmaceuticals, finance, robotics, military, arms, all these industries have been centralizing their power for a long time. And this new system, it's a new form of control, meaning this gives the ability of a central planner to turn a person's finances on or off. So if the central source disagrees politically with the individual. Now, this is about controlling a person's behavior. And if you can separate everybody and put everybody under house arrest or quarantine, then you can control the population through force. And this is currently being implemented. And this means that the politicians no longer need to get your vote, right? They no longer need to persuade you in order for a person to get elected. They don't need that anymore. They can use force, they can use coercion to control the population. And this is a new system that is being implemented. And it's been happening for a long time. So it's a new system. And how they went about it and how they're going about it is with a healthcare crisis. So how can we stop this? Let's get into the solution space. How you stop this is by disagreeing and not going along with the system. So if a company that you shop at is involved, you no longer shop there. If your bank, say you bank at JP Morgan Chase or something, and the bank is involved in this, you no longer use that bank. You use a local bank. There is good news. We can stop this, but people have to come together and um, and demand change. So, and what they want is people to be divided, and that is one of the oldest tricks in the books: divide and conquer. So this is about controlling a population's behavior. And they have all kinds of tricks in order to do this. I got hope in the young people. The young people, I hope, are smarter than this, because the young people will be able to change the system, I believe. But that's why they're going after independent businesses, guys. That's why the health department is closing and constantly so keen and bent on closing small businesses, because in order to control a population, in order to control a population's behavior, you have to get that population dependent. So you have to destroy the individual livelihoods of that population in order to assure obedience, in order to assure dominance. And that's what this is. This is a system of total control and dominance. Uh, and I just want to make it clear. And they will use all kinds of tools to assert their dominance, to control uh, through force. And the doctors are going to be powerless. If let's say a doctor or a lawyer wants to make systemic change, let's say a doctor wants to do the right thing, he is going to be threatened by the central source with the ability to turn your finances on or off. So, and that's how they're going to go about this system, guys. This is a system that is centralized. It's a central source. Um, and that's what is being implemented currently as we speak. If you look at all the satellites that are being placed in to space, if you look at the wealth, so the billionaires have increased their wealth tremendously within the past year. Meanwhile, the small businesses have been destroyed. Most of them have gone under or will be going under shortly. And that's because the elites are centralizing their power. Okay? So the evidence is all around you. Uh, People need to come together and demand their freedoms, or their freedoms are going to be gone. So what people need to do is put away their little grievances with people around them, and you need to talk to the people that are near you, because and we have to rebuild movements. The labor movement has been destroyed. Um, so if you're just a regular person, let's say you are part of the working class, well, your means to collectively bargain have been destroyed systematically, because there's no labor unions anymore. There's no way to collectively bargain, and you are left in a system that is each against each. So each worker is against the other worker, right? Um, it's a lose-lose situation. What we had in 100 years ago was something similar. Now, technologically, it wasn't the same, but you had total control by a tiny few people, and people weren't didn't have the ability to bargain. The labor movement was started, and people were able to bargain for a living wage, right? And because they got together, because people formed groups, and and they were able to come together and bargain for a living wage. Otherwise, um, nobody, people are greedy. People are greedy by nature, um, and so if because there's no labor movement anymore, because there's no bell curve or middle class anymore, or we're quickly losing the middle class. Um, Nobody has the ability to go and make systemic change, and the politicians don't need um, the vote anymore. They don't. And because of that, um, we are where we are. And so, if you're just joining me, thank you for joining. Um, you can rewatch the video. I wrote an article, and I'm just talking about some solutions to the very dire problems that we face in the near future. Um, and I want to make change, and I want to educate people on how we can go about changing the system. Until then, nothing's going to change. So, um,